Hello and welcome to Youth Education Services. Again, my name is Sarah Benno, and today we're going to be talking about boundaries and routine. I touched on it very quickly in my introduction, but today I'd like to go into a little bit more depth about the importance of why children like boundaries and routines. Anyone would think that I was talking about a whole new idea, but I'm not. This has been around for a very, very long time, and it is a part of a very positive behaviour management strategy. So what are we actually talking about when we're talking about boundaries? By boundaries, we're talking about the guidelines of what makes a child feel safe. So we are looking at the general core values of the family. So it could be to do with the expectation of the manners. Again, having manners is really, really important because it's the basis of respect. So when you give something out to somebody, they should be saying thank you. When they're asking for something, they should be saying, can I please have? So those boundaries are things like manners. They are also things like how much TV that they know that they're permitted to watch. Do you have specific rules for TV? Is TV only allowed Friday through to Sunday, which it was with my children? Why? Because I worked away from home and we didn't get home until about 6:30 at night, and literally by the time we got home there wasn't enough time to sit and watch the TV. So in my family it was part of our normal routines, and the children grew up to expect it, and it was never argued about because it was their boundary. They knew that they were the rules of the house. So for you, if you don't have things like how much TV they can watch, the times that are suitable for them to be playing on their phone, the times that are suitable for playing on their iPad, those things should be discussed and they should be known. Is it suitable to bring your phone to the table? No, that is social time, that is family time. Within those boundaries, do you eat dinner at the table? Do you even have a dining room table? One of the most important times that we can actually get to know what a child has done during the day is during dinner time. Do you even eat with your children at night? Again, this is another important factor. You might be one of those parents that can't because of shift work or something like that, but there needs to be some time that is put aside, that there is some certain guidelines that there would be an expectation of interaction during a particular meal. You know, do you teach them table manners? Is it okay to chew with your mouth open and watch your food masticate? You know, are you okay with that type of society manner? You know, if you're not, why aren't you? We need to teach these manners. Children today, we don't have parents insisting the please and the thank yous, yet they get to the classroom and they need to say them. They need to say them because society expects them for when they're adults in the workplace. So that has to start at home. I'm sorry, it's not a teacher's job to teach manners. It's a parent's job to teach manners. You know, are you ensuring that if they receive something, you always get a thank you? These are really, really important. This is basic societal influences that will determine how they act as an adult in the workplace arena. Other types of boundaries that we might be talking about is there a particular way that they have to walk home or catch a bus home? Is there anything to do with safety? So if we have, you know, if mum is not at home, how must the house look? The door must be shut and locked? Or are you one of those families where you live where that's not an issue? You know, what are all of the boundaries that ensure that your child knows that it's safe? Have you spoken about this stranger danger? You know, do you have a rule that says that a particular certain person can pick them up from school? It's all of those boundaries. Those boundaries can also be, you know, a time that they're expected home if they were to actually go to a friend's house. And, you know, if they were to go out with another family and they would go to fast food, do they know the boundaries that in your particular family that fast food is a special occasion food, that it's not a regular food? You know, we have a lot of things happening in society now that we need to ensure that those boundaries that we've set at home are being enforced when our children go out and in the company of others. Are your rules known, or are your boundaries known to your children so that they can carry them forward when they do go out with others, or when they're in the classroom, or, you know, when they're on excursions or things like that? You know, some of your other boundaries could simply be that you and your partner, or whoever the caregivers are, whether you're a foster caregiver or something like that, that you have spoken about, well, what are the rules around my child sleeping at somebody else's place? You know, are you going to permit that midweek? If you are going to allow that midweek, why are you going to allow it? You know, is it because it's a very, very special occasion and they're going on an excursion, or you have something on the next day and you've got to leave really, really early? But if it is a weekday, I'm asking you, why? Why are you permitting it? Because you know that your child needs to be set in those boundaries. Weekends, sure, not a problem. But we create these boundaries because we're parents. We're not friends. We're not creating a situation for them to like us. We're creating a situation and an environment upon which we know that they are safe and they know the expectations within our core family. The other thing that we're going to talk about is some of the routines and the expectations that you should be actually implementing at home. So one of the ones that I think is probably the most important is the bedtime routine. What is the expectation around that bedtime? It starts when they're young, and the earlier you can implement it, the more consistent you can implement it, the better your children will be. I can't tell you the number of children that come to my classroom and need to put their head on the tables because they're so tired that they have gone to bed at 11 o'clock, or they have been up all night playing computer games. I'm for real, their parents don't even know that they're in their bedrooms playing computer games. Their parents don't even know that they're still texting at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, what are your rules and your boundaries, your expectations around these phones? Like I said that to you before, you know, after 8 o'clock, they need to be turned off, and they could be kept out on the kitchen bench. They don't need to be in the children's bedrooms unless they're using them for an alarm. And if they are using them for an alarm, make sure they're on their desk, that they're actually out of reach, because other children will contact them at those ungodly hours, and then that routine and that behaviour starts. Okay, so when we actually go to bedtime, what time have you set? Are you aware that a teenager needs at least 9 hours sleep? And I'm talking about a child that is 15 to 18 years of age. They should still be getting about 9 hours sleep. How are you making sure they're getting that 9 hours? So we relate that to brain therapy and the research done on how the brain grows. So if the brain doesn't actually get that time, it can't continue to grow, or it doesn't grow as well. So you need to make sure that if you have teenagers, they're getting 9 hours sleep a night. When we talk about children, younger children, we're talking 10 to 11 hours. So I would ask you, what time are they going to bed? If you've got a 13-year-old and she's going off to bed at about 8:30, that's good, that's great. If she's going to bed after 8:30, I'm asking you why. How are you ensuring those 10 to 11 hours of sleep are getting in there? Children need that sleep. It's really important for their brain growth, and it's really important for their actual day-to-day functioning. So when you have those expectations and you have those routines around bedtime, is it discussed? Have you worked it out with your partner, the acceptable time that a child can go to bed? Especially if you're separated. Work together. Keep those times the same. You know, have your routine that you know that at, say, for an 8:30 bed, that at 7:30 it's teeth time. Then after teeth time, it's time to just sort everything out for the next day in your bedroom, and then it's reading time. And then you might want to do teeth, or you could do it the other way around. Teeth, then in your bedroom, and it's reading time, and then bed and lights out. Okay? It is really important also that the reading continues. As when they're little children, after dinner and when we get to that bedtime, it's really important that you're reading to them. It's quality time together. You know, we spoke about that before. How does quality time look like? It can just be having that beautiful reading one-on-one together. Making sure that kids actually get to understand the words. All of this helps them in their learning capacity. So, you know, as they've left primary school and they're not doing their readers anymore, it should be routine that has been followed through with high school, that they need to be reading something before they go to sleep. You know, it also helps them to relax and get into a nice deep sleep before they go into bed. Go into sleep. Then we need to talk about routines, about what is happening in the morning. What is the wake up routine in the morning? It should be consistent Monday to Friday. You know, is there a routine around about, you know, when they get up in the morning, the first thing they're to do is get out of their bed, put their pajamas under their pillows, jump into their school uniforms. Or when they get out of bed, they go in, they wash their faces, then they come and dress. After they've dressed, they go downstairs or they go into the kitchen and they get their breakfast. And these things happen within a time, but they're the same every single day. It doesn't change. And then they know the expectation of what they're going to do, packing their bags, packing their lunches, getting out, catching the bus, or getting to the garage so mum can pop them in the car. The more routine you can make them, the better there'll be less fuss in the morning. And if you have siblings that then come along, the routine is set for them to do exactly the same behaviour. Another routine that I think is a really, really important one to talk about with your students and with your children is that what happens on the way home. You know, if they catch a bus home, that's fine, they know that routine. But what if they walk home? You know, have you sat there and have you discussed the way in which they're to walk home? That if there's a couple of them, that they must walk as a group and that they must go one certain route. So that way, if you need to find them, you can find them on that route and you'll know that they'll be together. Have you also talked about things like what time they have to be home if they're over at a friend's place? You know, don't just say by dark, say a time. Because, you know, in Australia, the light and the dark and the daylight savings, it can all vary. Be consistent in what you say. The more consistent you are, the safer they feel, and the less room for the argument and the behaviour issues can come up. So, you know, you might want to say, you're home by 5, because you have to fit in your homework, you have to do your bed, you might have some chores you have to do around the house. So you know, again, what is the type of things that you might have to do when you get home from school? It should be a routine. It should be an expectation that one of the things you might have to do is actually go to your bedroom, get out of your clothes. Little kids, you might have to fold your clothes, put it on the chair. Big kids, you might have to hang up your clothes, put it away, put your shoes away, put your play clothes on, and then you can go out and play. Set up these routines. Reinforce them and do them consistently. Don't vary them. The more routine and structured they are, again, the less behaviour management or the less behaviour issues that come into play because you've got it now habitual. These habits are forming and you can grow on them. Okay, the other thing that I think that is really, really important, it doesn't matter what age the children are, but they need chores. Even if it is just folding their clothes away or putting their pyjamas under their pillow. You know, obviously as the ages go on, you will increase the chores for what they are. But you're not a slave to your children, and they have to become part of the family unit. So it's important that you bring in these little things as those habits form, and as they grow and they can do more, then they're to build on them. Like after a bath, they hang up their towels, they take their dirty clothes and they put them into a dirty washing basket. Make all of these things habits that they have to do. And when they haven't done them, you need to bring them back, reinforce them, ask them to pick it up and to do it. Sounds hard in the beginning, but the sooner you start with it, the easier it will get and the more boundaries and routines you can bring in. Like I have said before, boundaries and routines help tell a child that they're safe. Yes, they'll test them every once in a while. They're meant to. Okay, so when we're talking also about these chores, we're also talking about weekend chores. Make sure that you are definitely including them in some of the household jobs. You know, it could be the cleaning of their own bathroom, it could be the making of their bed, it could be taking the sheets off to do the washing, it could be helping mum fold it could be taking the folding and putting it in their cupboard. Whatever the weekend chores are, all children need to be included in those jobs. They are all part of the family unit and everybody needs to contribute, no matter what age. Again, the younger you bring them in, the more it is an expectation that these jobs will follow through. Having children isn't meant to be a burden. It's meant to be fun. Okay? If you have children that you bring into these routines, they will expect them, and school life will even be happier because they'll also expect them at school. Okay, thanks for chatting.